Welcome back once again to The Pulse. Huge shout out to all of you guys that are taking part in chat. Lauren Lease off to my left is doing all the moderation. There she is. Hey, Lauren.
Hi. So there's been some really interesting conversation going on. What you guys were just talking about, a lot of people feel like players are not overpaid if the company like EG has enough cash flow to support those players. They're arguing that a player is overpaid when a company like a team house is going to fold and they're paying players too much. That's being overpaid.
I think the problem is that when you have such a huge front runner like Evil Geniuses that's paying like quite comparable salaries, other people say, well, I am 80% of this player, or I am 120% of this player. They'll look at the EG guys and say, this is how much I'm worth. And that's the wrong way to educate players.
That's
not how it works.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Andre. And that's why they have max salary caps. That's why there's only so much you can sign a player for. That's why, like, you know, any team could offer LeBron James an absurd salary, would obviously get him. But there's a reason why there was max contracts, but he decided to go for the ring. And, of course, that's a different sport. But in that same analogy, there has to be some sort of ceiling.
Certainly a conversation we can come back to at another day. Maybe that's our hot topic next week. Who knows?
Possibly.
I want to give a special shout out to Too Good. I know you're in chat. Please don't troll Lauren too much. Too Good. Let's talk about tournament results. Not Intel Extreme Masters. We're going to start with Iron Squid. Iron Squid just finished up yesterday, and it was a phenomenal tournament with an amazing Parisian crowd. I read somewhere 4,000 fans in attendance, packed out the venue, selling it out. Here they are chanting, Mesty! Was really quite a special tournament. The French fans showed up. The games were great. We had a ZVZ final that went all 7 games. Everyone was excited about it. I loved it, man. What did you guys think about Iron Squid? The games, the players.
Life is incredible. Just to be able to show so much.
We all love life.
Yeah, I love life. Life is beautiful.
I like the picture of life on Reddit where he's like squishing his cheeks together. There he is.
I like life at the after party. That was my favorite picture of life. Life is incredible. Just to show so much poise at a young age. Again, people are kind of make comparisons to Flash last year because of the way he was able to handle himself, being down against MVP, being down against Parting 0-2 at the Blizzard Cup, being down 0-3 in front of that kind of crowd in a foreign country against one of the best Zergs in the world who just went 3-0 against you in the best of 5 at IEM. You're done at that point. He goes back and reverse sweeps. This kid's incredible. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with some of the Heart of the Swarm units that's going to happen in the hands of this kid. This kid's amazing.
Clearly the best player in the world. Is there any doubt?
At the moment, I'd say yes.
Coming into 2013, yes.
It was absolutely amazing. I'm very sad to see Dongregu with another second place finish. He is
best friends with Violet.
Oh. You know, DRG has, you know, he's been a champion. He's a great player, but is he choking on these big stages? How do you lose a best of 1 4 times in a row?
I really don't think that it's choking. I just more think that life is at the moment slightly better than Dongregu, and there's no shame in that at all. If you just look at the first 3 games and how they played out, and I hate to call stuff build order losses, but Life definitely didn't get very fortunate in those games. And the moment the games went longer and longer, you really saw that Life was just like sort of outplaying Dongregu. And once more, like, not to take anything away from Dongregu, because he is an absolutely fantastic player. He's still a legend. He's not in a slump by any means.
One of the best of all time.
I just think that Life is slightly better than Dongregu, and Life showed it in the games, which required a lot of decision making, which required more than just an opening phase of running a bunch of speed links across.
I think Dongregu's game theory with that series was slightly off after the third game. What we saw in the 7th game with the very fast circling bailing attack, that should have been implemented in game 4, 5, 6. Maybe not that one, but different types of all-in. And maybe even prepare for game number 6 to take your win, because you have 2 games to set it up where you're going to make your opponent more inefficient.
Right.
You're going to force him to say, is this guy all-in?
Is he cheesing me again? Do I have to prepare for this again? And
what he ended up doing was just going into mid-game, going into late game. He wasn't being too risky with anything. He wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary, which, you know, admittedly gave him the first 3 games. But I feel like, you know, really get in your opponent's head, put in those cheeses, make it so diverse, make it so hard to read. And all of a sudden, when you play standard, you're going to incur a lot more inefficiency and just win the game straight out.
Nesty took 3rd place. Marine King Prime showed us that Terran versus Zerg is in fact very hard in Wings of Liberty.
It is not that way in Heart of the Swarm, though. I will tell you that. It's great.
But I want to ask a question, guys. because this is something that bugs me a lot. We've got a little clip of the introduction for Iron Squid. This is how they started off their show. They brought something like 10, 11 personalities, casters, hosts, French, English, Russian, people out on stage to the cheers and the adoration of all these French fans. And they celebrated these guys for so long, and then they just kind of ushered the players up on stage, asked them one question each, and sent them back to play their games. Who is the star in these tournaments?
The players.
Well, that's the immediate answer that Clutch just goes to right away. You know, that's who we want to celebrate. That's who we should celebrate. But instead, we've got this 30-minute introduction with very deserving personalities, no doubt. I mean, nobody would ever question what Day9 has done for the StarCraft
Very
scene.
accomplished entertainer.
But you know, why are we here? We're here to celebrate the great gameplay of these guys who have been busting their butts for what 9 months. This has been a long qualification process.
If you want to look at it this way, who costs more? Those entertainers up on the stage or the players?
But the players,
revisiting that same
the
question.
players should be central. The players are the product. This whole tournament, it's central to the players, and you need to highlight the players. When it comes to telling the story, it's the commentator's job to tell the story in the game. It's the host's job to tell the story outside of the game and to control the stage. The stage is the most flexible piece of any show. Iron Squid had a phenomenal show. They incorporated music. They had great lighting. They did a fantastic job.
They had great hosts. They had great talent. They had great
they had the talent there. And I know that there's difficulty and challenges with having 3 languages on stage: French, English, and then Russian, and then Korean. So let's say 4. But still, you have to have the players centric to this show. And to be quite frank, I felt that they should have done more pre-production with these players, more maybe highlight videos or something to show them off more to play, because there is a language barrier, there is a language gap between the players and the audience, but this game transcends that. We have seen their stories develop within the games themselves, and they should develop on stage.
Sure, man, that's really easy to say, but at the same time, like the casters are the ones that people get drawn to their personalities, because players haven't really learned to do that yet. And it goes both ways, you know.
Oh, come on.
No, and let me finish,
right,
Ben. Let me finish. So, like, even though casters are important, though, you're absolutely right, players should be, but tournaments aren't doing that because they're so bent on the show. When it's not the quality of the games, and they need to learn how to do the players. But unfortunately, tournaments are still doing the same thing. Everyone's doing the same thing every time. Clutch. What happens at the end of MLG, man? It's you go on stage and you.
They've stopped doing that. MLG has stopped parading their talent around up on stage. Dan, it's the responsibility of these organizers to tell those stories, to get those personalities, to take these 4 guys around Paris and ask them what they think of the French experience. Those French fans would go crazy if Nesty walked out there and addressed them in French. That would be amazing. Am I wrong? And as organizers, it is our responsibility. It is MLG's, IPL's, DreamHack's. It is the Iron Squid production crew's responsibility to tell the story of these players, not to ride the coattails of the very entertaining talent that they brought there.
I want to say Dan has a point, because if you bring Tasis and Artosis to your event, you're going to get thousands more viewers because of their names.
I actually disagree with that a little bit, though. Like, I do think casters do have personality enough presence to really command that kind of audience. But we've also seen some of the best casters go to tournaments and not have impact at all. Artosis was at IEM Singapore, and that tournament had one of the most ridiculous storylines that every fan on StarCraft Reddit would foam at the mouth for. Grubby winning a tournament, right? It was his best opportunity. 6,000 viewers on concurrence? Like, that's absolutely absurd. And people can blame oversaturation, but casters are overrated into the scene, and they need to re-gear how they present, because you need both the players and the casters.
You're almost right there, but I must say the moment that Grubby did go further in that tournament, the viewing numbers did go up a lot, and certainly I think on the final day, IEM Singapore actually did have quite reasonable numbers.
Because of Grubby, not because
which
of
is
commentary.
evidence that the players are driving
of course,
it, and not the casters.
But before that, I mean, to Artosis' defense, the games, like the lineup of Singapore was the weakest IEM lineup we've seen in a very, very long time, and even a couple of the really good players that were there were not players with big fan bases, with the exception of Grubby, I'd say. So it does, like in this situation, like your point is almost valid, but also not completely, because at the final day they did have good viewing numbers, and I think casters can do a lot, but of course Artosis cannot make when DreamHack is going on with all the big names. Artosis alone cannot carry IEM viewing numbers up to 50,000.
It's a piece
That's
of the
ridiculous.
marketing in some scenarios, but it's not the end-all be-all. The end-all be-all is the players are the story. Everyone else, the talent, are the storytellers.
I think we've got a good segue there because we were just talking about IEM Singapore. There was another Intel Extreme Masters event that happened about 2 weeks ago in Katowice, Poland. Polish fans showed up in droves to one of the best events of the year, or one of the best events of the last 2 years. This was an amazing tournament. This footage taken by Johan Todd Merlo on the stage. These guys are about to go bananas for StarCraft. Listen to this crowd. Just listen. Just listen. As the sound cuts out.
They heard it.
Troll face. Anyway, Katowice was an amazing crowd. I talked to Carmack. He is incredibly proud, as he should be. I heard something like 10,000 people packed the venue to capacity, and there were still thousands more standing outside in the snow and sub-zero temperatures watching on TVs. Poland is very hungry for esports. And Kev, I know you were watching it very closely. Tell us a little bit about IEM Katowice.
Yep, I'm going to keep it short, but as you said, Ben, fantastic tournament. Funny thing is that the tournament kind of started off on a negative note as Stefano declined his participation. There we go. And got replaced by Zocca. And Zocca actually turned out to be one of the big stories of this IEM, but I'll tell you guys about that later on. The group stages started off, of course, they had open brackets as well, and I'd say there was one surprise that the Dutch Zerg Red was unfortunately not able to qualify for the main tournament. That was a surprise. Other than that, everything went sort of as expected. The group stages had a couple of surprises. For instance, Snoot, Team Liquid's latest recruit, did not actually advance to the elimination stage, even after winning Home Story Cup 6. We had Moonglade and Bly once more playing really good tournaments, going 3-2 in that group, unfortunately being out on 3-way ties. I have to say, this is not the first time for both of these guys.
Seems like it happens all the time to these guys.
Really
what
sad.
the hell?
Bly had this at DreamHack. Moonglade had it before on the IEM as well, if I recall correctly. So a little bit unfortunate for them. And also Vortex and Golden. Vortex had a fantastic 2012, of course, brother of Lucifron. Did not make it out of the group. And Golden, representing Startail for the first time, he did not make it out of the group stages either. But going back to Zocca, Zocca had a fantastic event. This was the second time in IEM history that he made it to top 4. He did it back then at IEM Gamescom in 2011. So really hats off to Zocca. He won his group 5-0 and went 10-2 in maps. That's just crazy. I love that. He did eventually lose in the semifinals 3-0 against First, but there was no shame in that, as we later learned that First was going to be the champion. Other than that, we had Parting represent. Oh, guys, we have to talk about this one more time. Look at this. You go, man. You go. You got this. You got this.
Get him.
No, I really don't want to fight today.
The best is the stalker turns around and looks at the sentry. Are you sure about this, man?
Yeah, you got it. And the moment they squeeze him through, you see like his legs.
The sentry's like, oh dear God, what have I done?
Yeah, now one other story was, of course, Parting representing SKT1 for the very first time. I think it's safe to say Parting was the overwhelming favorite. He did play a strong tournament, but he lost in the semifinals, surprisingly, against Dream in a fantastic series, by the way, guys. I watched these games and I rewatched them and I was like, God, Dream, you're playing so smart, you're playing so well. This is blowing me away. It's been a while that I've been blown away that much by Terran Army Control. I loved it. This was just one of those smart little moves that Dream pulled off, and he did stuff like this throughout the entire series. While we're watching this, of course, another story as well in this tournament was the two Polish fan favorites, or at least the two stars that Poland has right now, Mara and Nurcho. Both of them advanced from the group stage, but were not able to convince in the playoffs, as they were both eliminated in the first round. But still, they played a reasonable tournament. They played strong. Unfortunately, didn't get that Dream storyline we all hoped for. As I said, at the end of the day, First did manage to win IEM. This was his first international tournament victory. And did you guys see that? First, wordplay. Funny. This is where you laugh, guys.
That Dream storyline.
10 points.
Very nice for First. The first time that he is victorious on a big international stage after being the runner-up at MLG Summer Championships and also making top 4 at the MLG Summer Arena. This was the first time that he was victorious, so congratulations to First. Last but not least, small shout-out, or at least a couple of series that I really enjoyed. I'd say TLO Mana was fun, Dream versus Parting was fun, Dream versus First was really fun, and I also enjoyed, despite the result being one-sided, Daisy versus Nurcho. You guys can download all the replays at www.intelextrememasters.com. Just click on the Katowice tab and you can help yourself.
It was an awesome tournament. I was really proud to see my buddy Tarson making it through the open bracket into groups. Didn't do so well when he got to groups, but Poland loves Tarson, and it was nice to see the
Everyone
Terran.
loves Tarson.
Everyone loves Tarson. Well, even if he's always hitting on my girlfriend. Like, every time I see him.
That's why you gotta put a ring on it.
Say hi to Connie for me. Tell her I want kisses again. I was like, what again? So
I really love the free-for-all. We've been seeing more free-for-alls in different events. This is a crowd favorite. The crowd really enjoys this. Moonglade, the victor, the Prince of Blades himself, they put in the rule that you had to control the Xel'Naga tower at the top, decided to pop all his larvae into Ultralisk, and was able to take it. Very, very political and smart tactics by Moonglade. But having these sort of events within a tournament makes it part of a whole package in a show that everybody enjoys. I felt that's important as well.
Yeah, a couple stories I really liked. Sake, this guy finished 4th place, the best foreigner to place at IEM. A lot of people don't know why he's so good. A lot of people say, like, oh, yeah, he's good. He's an underrated player. But they just don't ever estimate him to be at that top. And let me tell you, Sake might not be the best mechanically or the best, fundamentals, but he has just killer game theory, man. If you watch all of his best of 3s, that's how you really have to see his story, because he's so brilliant. He does these all-ins at the perfect time. He sits back and macros at the perfect time, and I just love the way he's representing the Protoss race. The other story I want to talk about is First versus Dream, of course, the finals. First is one of the first Protosses that I'm seeing successfully pull off this style. Now, what is it? Okay, I'll just break it down into Colossus, High Templars, Vikings, and Ghosts. Right? This is a metagame where everybody goes Colossus first, right, to hold off that 10-minute push. What First does instead is he goes High Templars, and it seems very counterintuitive because all of a sudden you just go Ghosts, and I have the right counter. But when you go Colossus first, you get Vikings, and then Ghosts are a good idea, because Ghosts obviously EMP and you're going to do extra damage. But Vikings are not really a good idea ever when you're going High Templars, right? It just doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of mind games and a lot of inducing like scans and a lot of scouting to see, are you going Colossus at X time? And what he does is he just keeps his opponent busy. Zealot drops here, a little bit of attack in here, never confronting, and then boom, he swings it all around with this 3, 4, 5 Colossus push out. And all of a sudden, you don't have a lot of Vikings. You always gain the advantage at that point. First is executing his PVTs just so phenomenally well.
Kev wants to jump in. I think he wants to talk about being a beast in the gym again.
I think First has been a beast in the gym. Otherwise, you can't be that smart, man. No, I completely agree with what you said, Andre. What I really like is, I mean, it's no secret that late game for Terran, it's hard to figure out how many Vikings do I really need. Are they building Colossus again or not? This is something that's hard, but if the game is kind of like still, then they can scan, they can kind of figure out, okay, he is going into Colossus again or not. But as you said, First, he keeps his opponent busy, and the moment he starts producing Colossus, he puts them in a really stupid position. Like in his main base in a corner, he saves up to 5 Colossus. Yeah. That's how confident he is, that like he can do stuff on the other side of the map, and then suddenly he gets everything together. While Terran is slowly but steadily falling apart, he shows up with 5 Colossus, and then it's just too late to still make Vikings, and it's so hard to scout. So yeah, I completely agree with everything that Andre said. That's why I said check out those replays or the VODs.
It's a really great style.
Fantastic play.
You're able to stabilize with Storms, just play defensive, even add in some Photon Cannons. All of a sudden, it's like boom. You can even throw down 2 Robos, 3 Robos, and just surprise your opponent. Because if you have no Vikings, that plus Storm, plus Sentries, it's phenomenally great.
Katowice was a huge hit, man, and I just want to once again congratulate Carmack and the entire ESL crew on putting together a great show, and give a huge shout out to Polish StarCraft fans and European StarCraft fans, because they have really been representing these past couple of weeks. It's been awesome. The other, or I guess the final tournament that we really need to talk about from this week is Code S. Code S did start up. We've played our first 4 groups. It's been awesome. We have some amazing storylines developing, and my man Dan is going to tell us all about it.
That's right, Ben. A lot of storylines unfolding in GSL, like how will the season finalists do with Hyun and Sniper? Will any of the 4 out of 5 Protosses advance? There's only 5 Protoss out of 32 players in Code S. And can Huck regain his mid-2011 form? Well, the answers, Ben, would begin in Group A. Group A got Things started with creator Bjol, Life, and Symbol, and as the only non-Zerg player, creator carried the hope of fans on his shoulders as Zerg was the most well-represented race this Code S season, the first time Terran isn't. Despite ZVZ being his infamous weakness, Life looked unstoppable all night, crushing Symbol and easily defending creator's timings. We head over to the last game of the evening on Akalon Flats, where creator versus Symbol, Game 3. Winner would advance to the round of 16, and loser's tournament run would be over. Creator attacks with an immortal Blink Stalker +2 backdoor push through the conventional third after faking his own third Nexus, as creator is known for 3-base timings. Amazing force fields from creator, though. Despite that, Symbol would immediately react by pulling his drones to shut down initial aggression, and creator falls back to mass stalkers for a follow-up attack. For a while, it looked like that creator might break through, but Symbol holds with constant production and squeezing in roaches and infestors after roaches and infestors just in time to swing the battle for good. And after 8 in-game minutes of tug and war, it came to one final stop from Symbol to put down the Protoss siege for good.
A lot of infested Terrans. Oh man, the angle's pretty good here, and creator might be in trouble, Tasteless.
Creator was in a lot of trouble because Cedric only had to attack once, and it was lights out. Symbol secures the improbable victory in a round of 16 berth. After a hot start in Group A, Group B went full throttle as the first game between Leenock and Tai was one of the best Zerg versus Terrans in Wings of Liberty history. Leenock pushes Zerg to the absolute limits, Roach run-bys, Hydra drops, Bane Rain and Baneling mines, Ultra switches into Broodlord Infestors, you name it, he probably won it. Tai goes for a big double factor Marine push, but you're about to see what happens.
But there they go, start a siege, and Leenock, oh my god, look at those Ultras kill absolutely everything.
Guess there is some truth to the Harder Swarm cinematic, as Leenock is his best rendition of it. Tai would answer back, one of the most skilled Kesper prodigies in recent history, with multiple drops, sniping hatcheries everywhere, changing in mass bio and trying to control the map onto the right side. And after 30 minutes of skirmishes, one base versus one base, Leenock goes for the gamble of a lifetime, moving his infestors behind the last mining base, and it would come down to one last engagement.
Vikings, look, here come the Vikings, and bam! Beautiful fungal growth. Wow, and oh my god.
I think Leenock,
I think he did
I think he did it, man.
Yeah. And that was a big fungal. GG.
GG.
Wow. GG indeed, man. That was one of the sickest games ever. But there was a bigger force on the other half of the bracket, as MC, a Protoss Hope, silenced his critics with his authoritative 4-0 run in his group. MC showed impeccable execution and flawless micro that punched his re-election ticket for 4 more games. With the advent of players like Parting, Creator, Rain, and even Seed, people have seemingly forgotten the prowess of the boss toss due to poor performances at last year's final MLG and IPL. In fact, MC 2012 was not weak by any means, as he was the 4th highest earner in 2012 with $121,000 behind Stefano, Dongregu, and Parting. After getting rolled by MC in the winner's match, though, Leenock would have one last chance against Curious. However, Leenock's once fabled ZVZ faltered as Curious secures yet another round of 16's entrances. Leenock's hope for his first GSL championship will be delayed until Heart of the Swarm, which is sad considering that everyone was considering him one of the best Wings of Liberty players to not win a GSL. All eyes were on Group C as thousands of fans and haters would anxiously watch Huck's triumphant Code S return. Huck opens 8 gates in games 2 and 3, but gets denied and falls to the loser's match. Reigning champion Sniper, who chose Huck for the group, showed yet why again he is a fan favorite killer. Meanwhile, amidst all the hype around Huck, Tastosis overlooked Bomber, who is an eternal enigma in any tournament he enters. Bomber put on one of the best Terran performances at IPO 5 in 2012, but he is widely known to be inconsistent. Which version of Bomber would show up? Well, it would be the one that cooks nerd souls and devours them for breakfast. Bomber dismantles Gumiho, and Sniper 4-0 to easily secure his round of 16C. For the last spot, Sniper dueled Gumiho in 3 contested games that went over 20 minutes long, but Sniper just ran out of gas, and Gumiho, ecstatic in his win, would live for another round in the GSL. That wraps up the first 3 groups, with one last group to go for the week. Sniper down, Group D would have the other finalist in the previous season, Hyun, who is currently teamless and needs a strong resume to pitch for teams. However, Hyun would run into the streaking hot Boom Boom, who went completely outclassed Hyun and crushed Squirtle in the winner's match to advance. Like Hyun, B4's team MJ recently disbanded, leaving the poor Zerg without a home. Hopefully not for long, though, as he looks sharp throughout the course tonight, only dropping a single map. And with sharp play, look at this Hydralisk flank on Icarus. Squirtle, another fan favorite but forgotten Protoss, played solidly all night despite faltering to Boom Boom. His great army control and positioning was reminiscent of his 2012 Season 2 run as he overwhelmed Yoda with a flurry of timing and macro-based play. It came down to his last match against Hyun, who was aggressive all series long with neat drops, run buys, and all kinds of tactics. But in the end, Squirtle prevailed on pristine play that we've come to expect from a former StarTale Protoss. Check out his game on Daybreak with his micro against Hyun.
Well, we'll see how this goes. Doesn't look like it's. Oh my God, those force field. Oh, that's brutal. That's a massacre
well
right
done.
there.
Yun's in trouble, guys.
Yun is in more than just trouble, Tasteless.
He's in code A.
He's in code A.
Yeah.
Hyun's judgment has been. I love Daisy. Hyun's judgment has been cast and down to Code A as he goes down. B4 and Squirtle advance as the night wrapped up. Squirtle was seen donning an incredible miracle backpack, which has stimulated rumors of him joining the team. So let's do a little recap here. The 8 players have moved on into the next round. Life Symbol, MC Curious, Bomber Gumiho, Boom Boom, and Squirtle. Next week, we'll feature the second half of Code S groups with the anticipated appearances by Nesty, Parting, Stefano, and one of the most storied rivalries in StarCraft II history, MVP versus Marine King. And the last fact is that Sniper becomes only the 3rd GSL champion to fail to advance past the first round after his Code S win. Does anyone know the other 2?
MVP and Dongre good then.
Very good, Kim. That was long-winded.
That was awesome, Dan. Thanks a lot.
Okay, I just want to say the reason why I put a lot of work into that is because Code S, I feel this season is truly amazing. It's the last Wings of Liberty Code S, and I really feel people should watch it, and I hope I gave it its due respect.
They had a fantastic intro video as well. I mean, they had the voice actor, the Korean voice actor, that did Jin Rainer's voice over there, showing the legacy of GSL with Wings of Liberty, now moving into Heart of the Storm. And Dan, I think you just made everybody so hyped to watch GSL.
And how fun is it to have Tastosis back, guys?
Ben,
it's great.
why is Zangief so hard to beat?
Hit points, kid. Hit points.
I couldn't agree more, man. I miss these guys so much, and the games have been fantastic. I literally, I screamed when I was watching Symbol versus Creator. The Protoss in me was crying that he was somehow able to survive. The Protoss in me said, that's not right, but the neutral commentator in me said, wow, even though maybe that's not right, it is absolutely fantastic that he's able to do that. I showed Dan, I showed you. I've been blown away, and I've been loving the commentary of the guys.
Yeah.
Hit points, man. Hit points.
That's so funny. Tasteless gets something on his mind. That's just what he's going to talk about.
Talk about Looper for
Day
like
one
an
it
hour.
was Looper, and day 2 it was Street Fighter.
Ben, what are you doing this weekend?
The same thing as you're doing, Andre. We're going to a birthday party.
Freaking Tasteless. That guy's awesome, man. I love him
I was
so
like,
much.
where's he going with this? No, GSL has just been phenomenal. The first 4, I guess, groups were incredibly exciting. It was so cool to see MC back in shape.
Yeah.
MC is a friend of mine. He's stayed at my house. I've got a video of him trying to kick a soccer ball and missing and falling down. That will never make it to YouTube, guys, because he's my buddy. but you know, I hate to say it, but I had kind of written him off a little bit. I had thought that, you know, this was the era of the creators and the partings and the reigns. And that MC had maybe lost his touch, but boy, did he ever show us how wrong we were. 4-0 against world-class Zergs. And it really brings about a great question, which is these old guard Wings of Liberty champions. MC is in Code S. He's on to the round of 16, and next week, MVP and Nesty, the other 2 guys that are just considered legends, they're also in Code S. Some of them fighting all the way from down in Code B.
That was on purpose, though.
You want to experience it.
Nessie just wanted to see how easy Code A and how easy Code B was.
If you're going to create the world, you've got to do it from the ground up.
Even Jesus descended, right?
I actually do think that when Tastosis is going to cast Nesty in the upcoming week, I think it will go down in history as the best cast of all
I put it in my Google Calendar.
You're not going to miss. You don't want to miss that, guys. It's going to be great.
No, GSL has been great. But I want to ask you guys, when we look back on all of Wings of Liberty, because we are at the end of it, We have had some great champions. Fruit Dealer winning Season 1 was one of the most magical things ever. But if we have to say who is the best, who is the greatest Wings of Liberty champion of them all, who would it be?
Oh, come on, man. It'd be MVP. MVP, like,
Yeah.
he stayed relevant when everyone else was, like, dropping off. And STMC kind of were struggling. MVP was still winning when he's on one good wrist, Ben.
As much as I love MC and his showmanship and how entertaining he is, and the amazing play style of DRG, I'm going to go with MVP as well. Because he's Terran.
Yeah.
As much as I respect those guys, there is no one else who dominated one matchup like Elfitaya.
Oh, God.
Elfitaya is, in my eyes, the greatest.
PvP is the only matchup that counts in Kevin's eyes, so that makes a lot of sense.
No, I think MVP. I have to agree. He just makes more right decisions than any other person or player.
MVP's a legend, guys. MC is the greatest of all time. He is the greatest of all time because not only is he a true champion, not only is he the earningest StarCraft II pro ever, he is. I hear tasteless and artosis in my ear right now. It's freaking me out. There he is. There's MC. Not only is he the winningest and the greatest for all those reasons that I already said, he's also the greatest showman. This guy has taken showmanship to the next level. No one, not even Firebat Hero from Brood War compares, in my opinion. So. But those are our thoughts, guys. We want to hear your thoughts. Who is the greatest Wings of Liberty champion? Lauren Lease, tell them how they can let us know.
All right, guys, as you know, you get to participate in the show, The Pulse. You can cast your vote. Who is the Wings of Liberty's greatest champion? Nesty, MC, MVP, or someone else? Vote A, B, C, or D. Put your vote in right now, and that'll do it, Ben.
Thank you so much, Lauren Elise. We'll be checking in with her once we get back from this next short break. We're going to be gone for just a second. When we get back, voting results and the hot topic of the day, team houses. Don't go anywhere.